I'm Dave. I help business leaders to use technology more effectively. Now, I found this article that said that 11% of UK businesses have at least 50 AI projects stuck in the planning stage. Maybe this is because AI can't bring business value. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to kind of share with you where my thoughts are at the moment and just kind of go through with you some ideas, suggestions, ways that you can be using AI to make your business more profitable and less stressful and work less hours to get things done. So as an IT leader, I want you to be embracing technology change, but only if it's going to give you business value. We're in the kind of technology life cycle. We're kind of at the hype stage with AI now. If you think about technologies, they go through research and development, then they get to this hype, and then we get to the point where they actually start to add financial business value. But you have to start investing in technologies early because you will make more money by doing that. There's plenty of evidence that's the case. And then legacy technologies, you want to get rid of them. So if you think about technologies like television, VHS cassettes, the fax machine, we kind of wind those down. And you can still buy a fax machine on Amazon, you just shouldn't. Let's focus on what we're doing with technology to drive the business forward, not technology for technology's sake. So how do we go about doing this? Well, I've talked about this before. You need three things. You need to have somebody in your organization who is in charge of nurturing the use of generative AI. You need to have a policy. I've got a sample I can share with you, simple policy, just to kind of make sure that people aren't just doing shadow IT, they're just doing their own thing without any controls. And then finally, you need a list of projects that might be interesting. So your person that's in charge of generative AI, they're going to be going through this list and working out which of these projects to spend time on. By doing that, by having a policy so people aren't just doing their own thing, you've not got this what we call shadow IT, hopefully you'll be at the point fairly quickly where generative AI can bring business value. And that's whether you're using it to simplify your workloads, to organize data, to what things you can do in terms of sales and marketing. So many options, so many opportunities, but it's just a question of trying to keep those safe. I've talked before about this, the importance of data governance. If you take a chatbot, give it access to your data, it might leak stuff that you don't want people to know about. If you give Copilot, for example, access to all your SharePoint data, people can then search for whatever they want. They may have access to documents you didn't know they had access to. So you could, for example, say, give me everybody's payroll information and their mobile numbers. And that's probably not something you want everyone to have access to. So you've got to have a structure for your data. And one of the big reasons that probably these projects are stuck in the planning stage is because they realize that this data governance isn't there. So one of the things that I suggest you do from the Chief Information Officer hat on is sort out your data governance. Make sure your data is sorted into different departments, even in a small organization. You don't need to make this complicated. All you need to do is work out who needs access to what data and where we're storing that data and just limit it to those people. That's it. So you have a finance department, finance function, and then limit only the people that need access to that data. And then each year you create a new set of data rather than just piling stuff on forever. And you can use the management tools then to get rid of stuff once it gets to 7 or 10 years old and you don't need it anymore. One of the big mistakes I see people doing is collecting data for the sake of having data. So make sure that you've got some plan. We're at the point now where the agents are going to start to come in. So it's going to be important that the artificial intelligence agents can see the information that you want them to have access to. So for example, maybe you have a phone answering bot that can give people information, but it needs to have the information. It's not quite the same way that a human would do it, because if you ring up, it can verify who you are fairly quickly and then carry on the conversation where it left off because it knows exactly where things have got to. I saw an example for somebody brings up and says, hey, my luggage hasn't arrived. And they just say, okay, would you like it delivered to your hotel? And they say, yes. And you go, okay, I'll get that arranged. I'll let you know when I've got more news. Conversation done. No like complicated questions, done. So the point here is that we're not there yet with this technology, but that doesn't mean that it won't get there soon. So we need to be keeping this kind of rumbling away. So another big thing about IT projects is many IT projects fail. In fact, most fail. And there's generally two key things to be looking out for. The first one is sunk costs. So if you spent a lot of money on a project, you want it to succeed. Doesn't mean it well. Sometimes you just need to give up. And the second thing that I see happening all the time is that people put the technology before the people. So this article talks about this as well, is that do you have a strategy that's people driven, or are you doing IT for the sake of IT? And that's often what happens, is that IT is done to businesses rather than with businesses. So as you're taking people along on the AI journey, you want to empower them. You want to show them the tools, encourage them to experiment and figure out how to use it in a safe, controlled way. You don't want people to upload your data to, say, ChatGPT, so it's in their database. That might have future repercussions. And also, you don't want to give these generative AI tools access to data. As I mentioned, that you're not sure that the people that have access to it should have access to all that data. I want to talk as well about this point of technology being ready. So there was a point when a motor car couldn't exist because the various components needed to make it work didn't exist. But by the 1890 something, all the components of a car existed. And essentially they're unchanged-ish from today's cars. But before that point, you didn't have all the pieces in place. So it's quite common when you're doing research and development to find you can't solve a problem. My favorite example of this, I talked to this guy at BBC Research and Development, and he saw that they had this black and white footage of Doctor Who and various other TV programs recorded, and he knew, because they basically filmed a TV screen, he knew the information about the colour was still in that recording, which is kind of clever to realise that, but he could see that the RGB pixels could be picked up. He had to wait 20 years for technology to be at the point where it could decode that information. So it may be that some of these projects on your list, of your generative AI person that's in charge, goes, well, the technology is not quite there yet. We need to look at it again and keep an eye on it. And when it is ready, we can press the button. And don't imagine for 1 minute that you can get away with ignoring this, because it's fundamentally going to change the way that we work. And the sooner that you embrace that, the better. Now, I see another problem. Way more men than women are using generative AI. So if you're a woman watching this, spend time on it. I don't understand why that is, but I don't think that that's acceptable. We want to have kind of gender neutrality. I know there's a lot more men in IT than there are women, so I encourage all the women watching this, go off and play with ChatGPT, play with Claude, play with Copilot, and see what you can make it do. And do you like my camera panning zoom thing? I don't know if it's going to do it very much on this recording. It's using the Copilot Plus built into the computer to focus in on the camera. I can make it do eye contact, but I haven't done that. I think it looks weird. Anyway, that's all for today. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, how you're using Gen AI in your business. And if you've got any questions, ideas, things you'd like to talk about, love to explore the technology and where it's going. Thanks very much, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.